What's going on, college football fans? It's the Mac and Murray College Football Show, and we got a special guest. It is Thursday. We're bringing, no lie, like probably the face of college football right now. Josh Pate does such a tremendous job. You can catch him literally everywhere. He's got one of the best shows, one of the best podcasts out there. He's on ESPN. He's on 3, Bussin' with the Boys, but he's joining us right now, and we really appreciate Josh joining us. So, Mr. Pate, we're going to start with this first. I heard you talk about Clemson. We all saw Dabo's rant. Is we obviously have EMAC here. Was that the end of Clemson right then and there? Was that just the end?
It's the end.
Did Clemson ever come back? Like, was that the final, like, put a fork in it? Clemson ain't ever winning a national championship. We're going back to pre-2011? Pre-Taj Boyd now? Is that the direction?
So it's pleasantries. How you doing? Career's looking great. Are they dead? Is this it? Are they a bug on a windshield right now?
Right. Listen, that's the bar stool in Aaron Murray. I have to keep pulling it out of him. We're trying. That's just who he is. That's who he is.
So, look, the answer is a solid maybe. Yeah, I think that's probably where I am. No, 50. I mean, there's still a pulse, but I don't know. What do those monitors even mean? So, all right, let me take this smile off my face. All right, here we go. If I can be serious for just a second.
Yeah, sorry.
It seems a little messed up there. It seems like things aren't off the rails, but everything's very wobbly. I love Dabo Swinney. Like, I always love that he's really brutally honest. He is what people ask a coach to be. He defines principles and values. He adheres to them. He does not apologize for them. He doesn't really care what you or I or anyone think about it. I admire all that. There are things that I wish he would do. Like, I've never been a believer that what defines a Clemson football player, just intangibles, characteristics, and whatnot, is exclusively found in high school. I've always believed they could find that in the portal. And they can do lip service about how, well, we got this guy, we got that guy. I watched Texas A&M go up to Notre Dame last weekend and win with 2 just monsters they got out of the portal. Yeah. I'm watching Miami. I'm not saying you have to do it to that extent, but I'm watching Miami lose their top half dozen pass catchers, and they may be better there this year than they were last year. So I think what probably rubbed me the wrong way the most about what I heard Dabo say a couple of days ago was he did the whole, well, what's so bad about this place? Well, nothing's bad about it. No one's saying anything's bad about it. And then he went to the, how come we get held to a higher standard than these programs that hadn't done anything? And I had to play it like 5 times to make sure I didn't miss any context. And the answer is very clear. You get held to a higher standard than the programs that haven't done anything because you've done something. And I wish that I could have just sat there. There was no getting another word in. I know that. But if he had to yield back the floor, like yield back the balance of his time for a second, what I would have loved to have asked is, do you hold Clemson to a higher standard than those programs? Do you hold yourself to a higher standard? Those answers are obviously yes and yes. And it is not his job to give red meat to the media or anything like that. I understand he's talking to his team in that whole exchange. I get that. But I just wonder if we're looking at the Clemson way, the Clemson model, it is to super majority recruit high school football players, develop them, immerse them in a culture, which I fully agree, having never even been immersed in it, seems different, seems unique, seems to be defined a little differently. But that process is supposed to yield homegrown, home-developed talent that hopefully multiple years in, like most of their roster is this year, including QB, paired with a multi-year OC, yields us a championship result. And instead, it just looks kind of good, like kind of okay. And he kept saying at the end, and we'll get it right, though. And, it'll be all right. We'll be back. We'll be back. I'm on the other side of that coin. You're going to have a hard time convincing me over the next few years, unless something radically changes, that this isn't the best team they'll have. Right. I got a ton of questions about this year, but I got way more questions about next year and a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, all that is super fair. And I think the last kind of 2 things you touched on right there about when he brought up, why are we held to a different, and I was just like, did he just say that? Because of you, brother, because of you. You're the reason why. And the foundation that you laid and what you have beaten into our head about best of the standard and all these different things and the accomplishments you made. It is a double-edged sword when you win. Kirby Smart's feeling it. Ohio State's feeling it. Clemson feels it. If you don't have that success all the time, guess what? There's another side that cuts even deeper, and that's the lack of success. And 1-2 is a lack of success, losing those type of games, and not even just the score, which I get that. And listen, Aaron and I played at the highest level and get that it's hard to win and that it's just a couple of plays, but it doesn't look like it's a couple of plays, even though it is. They lose by one score, and they had the ball and could have tied it up against LSU. They couldn't get a stop, and they kick a field goal to lose to Georgia Tech. So it is a couple of plays, but it doesn't look that way, and it doesn't feel that way. And I think that's the frustrating part of that you just mentioned there. Everything was leading to this. Everything was leading to 25 of getting these homegrown guys, developing them, retaining them, which there was some whispers in the offseason about guys leaving. They stayed. They got them to stay. And you're 1-2, and it doesn't feel good. And you're losing to Troy at halftime. And so I'm with you in the radical changes, but the question that I just always have, he ain't kicking anybody out. And so, JP, what have you seen from these other programs when you hear, like, is it just a mass exodus? Is it coaches saying, hey, buddy, you're not good enough. Sorry, you need to go somewhere else. Like when you see some of these programs that do have 15, 20 portal guys, how do you get to that point? Where do they get the numbers from and things that you've seen and heard?
It's a door that swings both ways. And if you're not comfortable with that, which he's not, it's going to be tough for you. There are other coaches that he competes against. There are other coaches in that league who will readily tell you, we don't go cherry pick from the portal. I mean, we'll live in it for a position group if we need to, and we're not going to hit 100%. And as soon as we get them in here, if we know we hit on 50% of the guys we took, that's going to be good enough. And the other 50%, we're going to let them know you can stay here, you can develop here. Like, we love you, we appreciate you coming here. Start looking around. Your time here is going to be short. You're not going to start. It's going to be wasted. So let's get you in. Let's get you out. It's the same way with guys that you've recruited. I mean, I was sitting in a guy's office right before the season started, and he was laying this out, and it just sounded so cold. And I said, man, like, does this not feel like you've lost the spirit of college football a little bit? And he said, yes. Yeah, absolutely. It feels that way. It's almost like he put on his real face for a second. He said, but do you know what the alternative is?
Right. Yeah.
And he said, I'm
Did he say
not
Clemson?
hired.
Did he say Clemson?
It was not, he didn't say Clemson.
Hey, when's the last time Georgia won a
quite go
playoff
that
game?
far.
Clemson and Georgia have won the same amount of playoff games, buddy. Just so you know.
Look, as we're talking, we got new rules being passed, right? We're taking away that second portal window. So I think a lot of these guys have adopted what they hope are short-term changes. I don't think that in an ideal world they want to manage their rosters like this for eternity. I'm talking about the ones that feel a little cold and calloused, and there's been more churn. I just think that they've found, I got to survive this window. You know, I got to be able to hold my breath for a little while, and then hopefully change comes. All right, well, now this rule, Kirby Smart's banged the loudest drum in the country for it, is starting to, I think, get past. I don't know where we are on that, but it's, if you can know who your team's going to be in spring, I mean, that's a huge deal. That's a monumental accomplishment for a sport that has had a tough time accomplishing a lot in the way of structure lately. I know what his pushbacks are. If we had him in a quad box right now, we wouldn't talk a whole lot, and he would lay out his entire philosophy, and there'd be a bunch of what Emacs doing right now, nodding of the heads. None of us really disagree with it in principle.
Correct.
In theory, it all sounds right. That's why when you listen to him present it, you sit there and think to yourself, wait, I've criticized him. What was I criticizing? I think I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, there's principle. But I don't think you can be so rigid in that stuff that you sacrifice what the real goal is. If best is the standard, it could just be that 2025 and 2015 are not identical worlds where the exact same copy and paste approach works.
All right, guys, and just by the way, like, I picked Clemson to win the Natty, and I picked Klubnik to win the Heisman, so, like, I'm laughing in pain.
You're bitter. You are
with
bitter.
Emac, and I am bitter too. God damn it, they did a great sales job on all of us. I think this is gonna be a great season. I think we bring up some of the rules. I know you know, listen to your show, you're not always 100% with a lot of stuff going on off the field, from the transfer portal to NIL to all the craziness. And I think we all agree on this call that like, structure needs to happen. There
Yep.
needs to be some structure. But I will say from a fan perspective and someone who covers these games, the product on the field, while it may not be perfect all the time and kind of gets ugly at times, it's going to be pretty damn exciting. I thought last year was exciting. I think this year will be even more exciting. Are we in a spot right now of all your years of watching college football where it is as even and fun and you never know what's going to go on, and that just makes it so much better when I turn on these games every weekend?
I can't push back on it. And I've got this is kind of where I have to divorce my own personal preference from what's for the greater good, if you will. And I really think a lot of what you just said, Aaron, comes from the fact that those of us who immerse ourselves in college football year round have to talk about something in spring. You have to be talking about something in June, and you're not talking about games or practices because they're not happening and they're not happening. So what you end up doing is you end up nitpicking every little thing, and what you don't realize, as much as I wish they were, is most of the college football public is not tuned in the spring. Most of them are out. So when they come back to the watering hole in the fall, all the drama and like end of the world, this and that conversations you've been having for 6 months and I've been having for 6 months, they're like, "Oh, I missed all that. Oh, dude, looks like there's a really, really compacted group of top teams in the SEC. Wow. Who's a clear number one? You mean we don't have a clear number one? Wait, you mean I'm a Texas Tech fan? I've actually got a shot this year? That's kind of the net result. So that's where when I'm suggesting to Dabo Swinney, maybe bend the approach a little bit. This is me telling myself that it may not taste great in June, but dude, it's going to taste really good in October and November, and it's worth it because that's when everyone's watching.
Yeah.
Did you feel like I always my big thing when this was all getting going was it felt like the rich were just going to keep getting richer, though, and maybe they are a little bit like Ohio State and maybe like their rosters are still better, but it doesn't feel like that when you watch the tape. So like, was that your feeling ever like, hey, this is still going to mean at the end of the day, it's still going to be Bama and Ohio State and Georgia and Texas? Because that was mine. And I've been surprised that it has been as somewhat of a spreading out of talent across the country.
Well, a little bit initially, but it kind of started to become apparent. All right, that's not going to happen. 5 programs aren't going to hoard all the talent.
Yeah.
Well, that's and I was okay with that. My concern was, and still is a little bit of a concern, is do the best coaches still possess the ability to coach guys hard? And that's still a little bit of a concern with me. Now, I do
From the
think,
player aspect, just leaving if you do.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, which ultimately impacts the fan experience, whether fans know it or not. So that's what I was concerned about. Now, I will say, after a few years of case study, of examples being set, I mean, we got guys who have hopped 3 or 4 programs, used to have 5 stars next to their name, and they like disappear in the wind. Do you guys realize Jaden Rashada got benched at Sacramento State the other day? Like, so you've got some examples now where you can put it in front of a guy when he's sitting in your office or his agent's on the phone with you talking about him transferring. And there are some cautionary tales out there that's good, but I think more so than that, just taking away that post-spring portal window, that's a big change. That's a big help. So if we combine those two and the savviness that a lot of these programs have of how to retain their roster and spending on proven guys at their current programs instead of trying to go and like grab from coast to coast, I think that's alleviated a lot of my concern, honestly.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. And if we get to the back to the one-time transfer, one-time freebie, and then you got to sit. That's going to be even another fascinating issue and element to it. We'll kind of see what happens. I want to swing this thing around a little bit to you, brother, and your process, as Aaron mentioned before we started dragging my Tigers. You're all over the place. You're doing 100 million things. It's really fun to watch, and as somebody that talked to you years ago about kind of your story and how you saw this thing to get to where you are is unbelievable. But in particularly your roadshow, when you're going to places, what's that process like for you? Do you just kind of circle the best game? What's kind of your opinion and process of where you decide to go, which this week is Nebraska versus Michigan?
Yeah. A few years ago, probably like 10 years ago, I like laid out what dream job would be, dream scenario would be, and everything. a lot of what I do now is very close to what I laid out. And part of that is the Saturday thing where in my dream world, you cover college football or talk about it all week, ideally on your own show. And then you just choose the game you want to go to and you fly there and you stand on the sideline and watch it. Then you come back home and talk about it. Minimal work. Just limit the work. So that's really what we do. Like as the three of us are talking right now, it's Wednesday night. We got next weekend. So I'm going to Nebraska this weekend for the Michigan game. But next weekend is the like double heavy hitter primetime window weekend.
I don't know who you're going to pick.
And I don't know yet. That was what I was getting to. So, I mean, you go up to Penn State in the spring, and every single one of them are like, "You're going to be here for the Oregon game, right?" And you always say yes. Of course you say yes. And then someone gets in your ear on the way home and says, that's Bama, Georgia night.
Yikes.
And then you tell them, yeah, I'll never miss that game. Of course I'll be there. And then here's the real carrot on the end of the stick. Now that we can do multiple games in one day, we got Notre Dame in Fayetteville at 11 a.m. playing Arkansas. We got USC at Illinois, 11 a.m. Central Time. Yeah. So we can double dip. So there are 2 early games, there are 2 late games there. And I never knew what a first world problem was growing up, but this is one. I'm trying to figure that out as we speak next.
Is it highest bidder? Like what'll be the factor here, man? Come on. What's the deal?
Probably weather.
Smart man. Smart man.
Whatever fan base watches the show more, you know, as you go through.
That's Bama, Georgia, man. Like we got Oregon, Penn State is big for us, but there is nothing. There's no matchup like Bama, Georgia.
All of the money.
I do want to get into some of these games, and obviously you're going to Michigan, Nebraska. It's just so hard. We talk about it on our show. I mean, it's hard to judge Nebraska. I know you probably had the same thought of are they great? Are they not? Is Dylan Raiola ready to take that massive step into year 2? Obviously, we know year 3 with the head coach, but like just him, stepping back in him, and obviously the quarterbacks in this, because you do have a pretty amazing young freshman quarterback on the other team as well. Which quarterback has the higher upside? Let's start there, actually, because I haven't really talked about this yet. 2 very young guys, obviously Underwood making his second career road start, and then Dylan Raiola the second season. Which guy in your mind would you take tomorrow to start your program?
So that's a very important distinction. You're talking about from here just moving forward for his career, not just this game, right?
I guess, I mean, yeah, you probably go both. Because I'm guessing you're probably Raiola for the gain more experience.
Yeah, but also supporting cast. Like my big hang up with Bryce is I think there'll be a game this year, probably multiple games, or at least moments in games where he just puts your jaw on the ground. Yeah. And really what it's going to make you say is, Michigan's got to go get him some receivers for next year. That's really what it's going to make you say, but they don't have them right now. Yeah. I mean, I was talking about the Auburn Oklahoma game the other night, and someone was like, "Oh, this one's going to play out kind of like Oklahoma Michigan, right?" And I said, "It may, but here's the difference. Auburn's going to roll in there probably with 4 receivers, better than the best one that Michigan rolled in there with." So Nebraska, I talked all spring and summer about how I thought their receiver room maybe one of the more underrated just position rooms in general in the Big Ten. So this is the kind of game you got to prove it. Everyone's big on year 3 under Matt Rule, me included. But there's always a rubber meets the road portion of that. It's because he's made his rosters more dynamic. It's because he surrounds himself with a good staff. Well, if he's done that, it's a really good way to prove it against Michigan on national TV. I leaned Nebraska in the game slightly because I don't really fully know what I think about Dylan Raiola yet. I still think I try and see around the corner a little bit on this stuff, which is foolish. You'll make yourself look foolish trying to do it. But every now and then you just you nail that instinctive, I think this guy is going to have this breakout game. And I just feel like if it's going to happen for him, I feel like this is the kind of game. I watched John Mateer do some business, do some work against Michigan secondary. You're not going to do a ton, but do enough. I listened to the way Matt talks about Dylan Raiola. I mean, if you listen to him break down his game, they're so high on him from the neck up. Okay. I haven't sat there and thought that, but I'm not qualified to break down the position like he is. And so I am hopeful, fingers crossed. I picked Nebraska. I'm going in there for the first time. I just really want to be right, Aaron. That's all I want to be. That's all I've ever wanted to be.
Are you taking Underwood for the future, though? Like, if you had to pick one, yeah. That kid's
Yes.
a freak.
Yes. We just watched. Think about what we just watched in the SEC. We watched LSU a few years ago have Jaden Daniels had no defense. We watched Miami last year have Cam Ward have no defense. The biggest shame in the world would be if you had the quarterback, had good defense, both of which they'll have at Michigan, and you went and spent all the money to get Underwood, by the way, and you didn't come off your hip pocket for a few receivers
Right.
to surround himself with. That we cannot
I hope they
let that happen.
front loaded him though. I hope they front loaded him to where like they're gonna have some money to spend on receivers going forward.
It's
So we'll see.
Oracle. It's Oracle money.
I
I
know.
don't care if they
They'll be
didn't
fine.
front load him.
They'll be
It's
fine.
Oracle.
They'll be fine. Just find a way creatively to do it. You mentioned Auburn and Oklahoma here, and the way you kind of discussed it makes me think you're leaning one way. What are your thoughts on this game? I think Oklahoma rolls. I think John
Yeah.
McPherson's that guy. But when you're talking about those receivers, I was like, okay, what do you mean, JP? What are you talking about?
You know, I'm giving you my only route for an Auburn win. That was what I was giving you.
Okay.
So I solidly lean OU. Like I think
Yeah.
OU possibly by double digits in that game.
Okay. There we
The
go.
one way it doesn't go that way to me is if you've watched, I've watched every snap of Jackson Arnold. The only successful passes he has are underneath stuff on the outside. They haven't even ventured to try anything over the middle third, especially deep middle third. Just not even there. There's not even one green dot on the spray chart. So, like it's not even a joke. I wish I was joking about that. So, if I'm facing Brent Venables, who is among the best in the world at taking something you do away, it's very clear you're not going to beat him with QB run. You're not going to do to him what you did to Baylor. That's very clear to me. I don't think they possess the ability to beat Oklahoma throwing the ball conventionally. What I do think is they got some monsters in their receiver room that could turn a 50-50 ball into a 30-70 ball. And I really think their passing game, them winning throwing the ball, is just wide receivers winning fights. I really think it could be that unconventional and that raw of just throw it up. That's Cam Coleman. And we just think he's better than whoever they're going to line up on him in a 3rd and 7 situation. To me, Oklahoma, if you were to promise me that Auburn will not score explosively through the air, I don't even care if they complete a couple of them, but not scoring explosively through the air, I don't see much of a route for them to win. And it's going to be one of those games, there's like 3 or 4 of these per year, where I have so little trust in an offense's ability to function in the red zone that if I'm backing Oklahoma, I'm actually more comfortable with Auburn's offense being on the 18-yard line than I am on the 38, because the 38 gives them the whole field to work with, and I think he can heave it up and score from there. I don't think once you get them down in the red zone that they're going to have a whole lot of success. So yeah, I'm with you. I go solidly Oklahoma.
I want to get into real quick, take a break from the games. I want to get into your quarterback rankings because like you and me, very high on a couple guys that have completely dropped out
Well,
of.
who wasn't, by the way? Can we just say that? Like the whole world.
Yes,
I went
please,
back
please.
and looked.
Well,
Like,
I was very big on DJ Lagway, and
Well, a lot of
DJ's
people were,
obviously
though.
way off the list.
And
I was
a lot
not
of
high on
people's top
Arch.
5 is gone. they're
Who,
not even
mine?
in it. They're not even in it.
Oh,
No, a lot of them.
my-
I mean, there's like 4 or 5 different guys that all thought very
Oh,
similar.
it's crazy. I mean, it's been so bad performance from the elite quarterbacks that you were expecting. But once again, like we shouldn't have been fooled. He threw picks a year ago. He's throwing picks again. So like, I get caught up. My problem is I treat some of these guys as if like I'm an NFL GM, where I look at him and say, you know what, that kid looks good. He's 6'4". He's got a big arm. You see some. You give him to me, I'll turn him into an all pro. And that's what NFL GMs do. They see guys with talent, Anthony Richardson, and say, bring him to me. I'll turn him into an all-pro. And I don't care how raw he is. And I get caught up in that sometimes when I look at a guy like DJ and see all the raw tools and say year 2, he's mentally going to take a step forward. And I broke it down the other day, Pate. Like his feet are so off within the game. Like he threw an interception on a slant route in which the guy in the middle of the field picked it off.
Yeah.
That should never happen on a slant route. But his feet were so long that by the time he hit his 3rd step and threw it, which he's thinking, oh, this works out, the guy, like, no, you have to, there's differences in 3-step drops, and he's just not playing. His footwork is not in tune right now with the offense, and that's why he's throwing so many damn interceptions. But to regress from Lagway, your quarterbacks, Mateer, Green, Aguilar, Berbula, our boy Stockton, Marcel Reed, Diego, Ty Simpson, Nussmeier dropping down, and Sellers. biggest surprise and biggest disappointment for you as you get into to week 4?
I think the biggest surprise is Joey Aguilar. Just immediately, boom. That
Yep.
stuff shouldn't be possible. To
Yep.
me, that shouldn't be possible. To come in after spring. Dude had no clue where Knoxville, Tennessee even was during spring ball. And after spring, he comes in and Heupel just it just feels like they're drawing plays up in the dirt. It's kind of like Lane taking a kid from Ferris State last week and inserts him, and there's 8 of 12 on third down, no big deal. It's just some guys make it look so easy, and other guys make it look so hard. And people like me sit there and take the guys who make it look so hard and rank their quarterbacks number 1 in the conference. and you look in the mirror, and you look in the mirror and say, what is wrong with you? What is the matter with you? So last night, as we're talking, I did a show last night, and we did the quarterback rankings on it. And I had a moment. It was in like our production meeting where I had 1 through 9 listed, and number 10 was open. I sat there for like 3 or 4 minutes debating in my head over number 10, and I sat there and realized, look at the names that are still on the board. Lagway's still there. I ain't putting him top 10. Arch is still there. There's no way.
No.
And I put Sellers there because I felt bad that he got hurt and he's got limited supporting cast. But I thought to myself, those were my 1, 2, 3 preseason. And they're sitting there. No, I can't even validate one of them taking the number 10 spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been rough. But I wanted to go back to Lagway for a second because you said something. All right, so you're talking about something most people, myself included, have never learned, coached, played a day in their life. When you're talking footwork, when you're talking about watching tape and seeing like basic mechanical problems, stuff that we take for granted. Like I just take for granted that high-level quarterbacks are going to enter a season. All that stuff's taken care of. That's like watching a starting pitcher and we're worried about like grip point and we're worried about release point. That stuff's supposed to be taken care of in spring training. Do you ever recall seeing someone be able to correct that stuff during the season?
No, not like meh. I mean, I'm hoping that that play specifically that you can just honestly, it's mind blowing because I've never seen it actually happen before. A middle linebacker or a linebacker body make an interception on a slant that far in the box. So you would hope that like that kind of starts to play in his mind a little bit, and he understands he has to play faster in certain situations. But no, it's harder because you have to understand like it's muscle memory at that point because I'm not thinking as I catch a snap about this needs to be faster. I'm thinking about coverage. I'm thinking about rotation. I'm thinking about where I'm going with the football, where my eyes need to be. The last thing I'm thinking about is footwork because that should have been taken care of in the offseason. If I'm thinking about my feet in the middle of a drop, then everything else goes to crap. And then you go even further down and just unable to read the defense. Like I said, unable to read your progression. So it's to your point, it is very much elementary, should have been taken care of in the spring and camp, which he did not participate in. And those elementary things are putting him behind right now.
Good point.
Where it doesn't matter how good you are reading the defense. If your feet are off, you're not going to get there in time. And those windows close fast.
I think that I didn't make a nothing deal out of him missing spring, but in retrospect, I didn't make a big enough deal about that. I regret that. I did not make a big enough deal. I
didn't either. I thought he was a good enough athlete and player that like, that's
Same.
not going to be a big deal. But like watching his footwork this weekend, I'm like, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
And that's not easily corrected.
And it's probably because he's so young. Like that's why it's a bigger issue. Wasn't a big issue for Carson Beck. He's old. He's been there, done that. This is a young cat that needs every rep that he can get.
You know, what doesn't make it better is knowing you got Reuben Bain across from you this weekend. That's just wonderful.
Is that the best team in America?
And Keem Mesidor is right beside him. Good luck.
Hey, is that the best team? Is that the best team in America? I love Miami.
What are your thoughts on Miami? What are your thoughts on Miami?
Hey, I got my rankings coming out tomorrow.
Come on.
I think they may be number 1. And look, if you're like EMAC, I know good and well you probably get this. You probably get a text from certain people in that building begging you not to rank them, period, at like 4:38 in the morning on a Monday. And like, you have better things to do. It's game week. But Carson Beck is a wonderful story.
Yep.
I think that's if you I think the story will eventually be told. It's not mine to tell, but the story will eventually be told of them getting him, what it was initially like when he was in the building, because you're taking over for a guy who was just an absolute bulldog in Cam Ward. And Carson Beck is not that, personality-wise. He is not that. And you're walking into a building, and I watched Cam Ward down there in off-season workouts just take that thing by the throat. That is not how Carson Beck entered the halls at Miami. And to the point where you kind of have to have a little come to Jesus moment, but it's not them waking him up. It's them, communicating with him and him saying, no, this is kind of just the way I am. Don't worry. Like, we'll be okay. But if you need me to show a little more outward leadership, like, I'll meet you in the middle on that. But I don't want to fake who I am. That story's going to be really good when it gets told. But I think in the interim, unlike Florida, who they play this week, who has a tailback in Jaden Ball who's averaging over 6 yards per carry when he carries it. They're actually handing the ball to Mark Fletcher. Right. They're actually running the ball and using that offensive line they've built and using that tailback room. And it's just such a complimentary team right now. There is no one facet that's having to shoulder the load. Now, I'm very cognizant that we're not even a third of the way through the season yet. And consistency in performance is what has bitten them. So that's the only thing that gives me a little hesitation is I want to make sure that they're sustaining performance in November like they are now, because we see every single year someone looks like a world beater in September. In November, they're nowhere to be found. And you just come to find out they had like 9 weeks worth of gas in the tank.
And then that's a big deal specifically for Miami. And listen, there's some great fans, some great media members that cover this team very closely, and they're a little hesitant too because of that, specifically looking in November. And you look at these guys at SMU versus Syracuse versus NC State, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt to finish the year. That's going to be interesting just how they handle it, especially if they're number one in the country.
You mean how they handle blowing everyone out in that ACC schedule?
You say that.
Hey,
and then the team goes to 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech and should have lost.
Yeah.
Georgia's a good team. Come on now.
One thing to remember.
Put some respect on Georgia Tech.
Sting them.
No problem here. No problem here. Hey, one thing to remember about that Miami schedule, no one's going to pick up on this and no one's going to really care. But when we were doing our schedule deep dives in spring, I realized, first off, the ACC schedule maker is completely drunk. Whoever that is insane.
I got his number if you want it. I could send it.
There are like 4 teams that have both of their byes within a 3-week stretch. Miami's one of them. So Miami's got a bye week, then the Florida State game, then another bye week. So that in a 2-bye season is insane. They're not even the only ones in the league that have that. Here's the bad part, relatively speaking. They then go, I think, 7 games in a row to end the year. Their last 2 regular season games are on the road at Pitt. And who's the other one, E-Mac? There's another cold weather.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech and Pitt. Neither one of them are going to be able to match man for man. But you're going back-to-back cold weather cities to end the year. Then if you're in Charlotte for the ACC title game, that's a 3rd consecutive week on the road, which no one does in the pros or in college. So they're going to be favored every time, probably by double digits most times. It's the dynamics of it that may trip them up. And you're just every week, by the way, they're getting further and further away from the shore because they've never been out there before. They've never gotten past the point on the horizon where you can see the shore, and it just right here. Yeah. That's what I want to know about Miami, there.
I'm with you. It's going to be fascinating. Brother, this was a lot of fun. We could talk for another 2 more hours, but we got to get you out of here. You got stuff to do. Thanks for your time. It's going to be a fascinating season, and maybe we do it again on the back half of the season. We'll see what we're right about and what we're dead wrong again about.
Let's just agree we'll meet here the next Clemson loss.
Perfect. See you on Tuesday.
I'll see you boys in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Man, Josh Pate, an absolute rock star. Really appreciate him joining us on the show. And like he said, we'll be back, or he'll be back when Clemson loses, or maybe he'll be back when we have to redo and rip up our quarterback rankings once again. And a quarterback ranking, EMAC, or a quarterback that was talked about, that has obviously been talked about all offseason and continues to be talked about, is Arch Manning. Is he hurt? Is he just not good? Are they not good around him? And he came out and said, I have to be better as a quarterback. Got booed. We didn't talk about this last week. Got booed in his home stadium a few days ago, which is just wild. The everything that was being said, like, as we kind of step away from this and look at this situation for Arch Manning right now, what goes through your mind?
Well, I think I love how they tried to protect him on the front end, right? Like every single person of his family was like, pump the brakes. Like, we're not doing NIL, we're not doing this and that until it's him out there doing it. And because I think it could have been a lot worse, right? If he would have leaned into the name and taken a bunch of money the first couple of years, then it's like magnified times
Yeah.
10. And, I think there's always been questions, right, about who he played in high school and about the level of competition. And if his name was Arch Smith, would he be a 5-star? I think all those things have been brought up ad nauseum, but now we're seeing it on the field, and we're seeing maybe there was some validation to some of those things. Is he talented? I think so. Is he generational? Maybe
No,
not. You know, we'll see.
no.
And still a young player, and who knows what the next couple years will look like. But there's a lot of growth to be had, and there's a lot of things that he needs to work on. I think they're uber talented around. Maybe offensive line needs to be better. Maybe you need to go get some guys. But
I don't know if they are talented around him. I think that's my biggest issue with just like if I'm a Texas fan right now, like yes, we all know the focus is always on quarterback. Like
yeah,
quarterback is the number one thing, and because a quarterback can eliminate a lot of issues, but we're also seeing across the SEC, like if the issues get too big, he unless you're Cam Newton, you can't solve everything. Cam's the only one that I've seen that can mask all the issues that a football team has. What he did at Auburn, and I'm sorry to Paul Feinbaugh who thinks that this young man is better than Cam and the best prospect he's ever seen coming out of high school. He is not that. He needs a supporting cast, and we all thought based on the stars and Sarkisian and what they got in the portal and what they returned from a year ago that this team was going to have everything around Arch Manning that to the point where even if he wasn't as good as expectations were, and I kind of had this feeling too, like, hey, I don't think that Arch Manning is a Heisman favorite. I said this at the beginning, a Heisman favorite or a first round draft pick next year. Like, y'all need to pump the brakes until this
right.
guy plays. But what I am confident in is the fact that he does have Steve Sarkisian and he has all this talent around him. Well, right now, the only thing that he has is Steve Sarkisian because the talent around him is not very good. The offensive line is not good. We've seen it the entire year. I mean, go back to even that San Jose State game. He's getting knocked around. And the receivers are just average this year. So, like, he's a young quarterback playing in his first season. And I'll just go back to me, for example. When I played my first season, guess what? I had A.J. Green. When in doubt, like Pate said about Auburn's receivers, just throw the damn ball up. And that's what I did. Arch doesn't have that comfort, man. So
Yeah.
I just think right now it's like everything is kind of just a snowball effect of he's not playing well. He doesn't look good at times, couple big time mistakes, and then the team just doesn't look good. So I get the frustration from Texas because you're looking up saying right now, like, I don't know if this team's a playoff team.
Right.
I really don't. I don't. I see 2 more losses on their schedule, if not more.
Sure. Sure. And I think it's frustrating too because Arch is right at 50% completions for 3 games. That's the average of 3 games. And he's your leading rusher. That's where you're just like, I don't love this. I don't
No.
think this is good. Where we kind of are right here. And maybe it is they're not good around. I think they are. I think if you put a different quarterback that's having success right now, I think he finds these guys. I think he gets them going.
I think the offense line's
think so.
bad.
But that's because of your quarterback. That's why,
No.
as you said, if I insert John
never the
Mateer onto
quarterback's
Texas,
fault.
what happens? What does it look like?
Who?
John Mateer to Texas, if he's the quarterback, it's significantly better.
It may be
If I
better,
put
but it
guys
may be
in
better,
food,
but it's not what Mateer's doing in Oklahoma better.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I do not think so. I'm telling you, like the
I just think
talent
$40
around-
million roster should add up to something. And
It should, but when you watch it, the offensive line struggling, guys aren't getting open. There's not a lot of like, oh my God, that guy's running wide open. What is he
Sure.
looking at? There's not a
Sure.
lot of those moments
Yeah.
as you watch the tape, unfortunately. So I don't know, man. Like I feel bad for the kid. Is he as good as what people were hoping? No. Is he young? Yes. Does he have time? Yes. Does he have elite supporting cast? You think more highly of it than I do. But I think at the end of the day, based on what we've seen for the first 3 games, I'm not going to say like you are who you are at this point in the season, but there's not like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. There is not a tremendous amount of growth that's just going to start happening all of a sudden. You are somewhat close to who you are,
Well, the
and
growth that
Texans
you
is not a
yeah.
great team.
The growth that you see is because you start playing maybe lesser opponents or this and that,
They've
and
played their
that's not
lesser
their
opponent.
case. That's not on their
Yeah,
schedule. They're only
yeah,
playing better and better. Now, listen, they still only lost by 1 score to Ohio State, who's the number 1 team in the country right now for a reason. But I am with you in the fact of it needs to look drastically different in a
yep.
hurry. And you're right. I don't know if it can because you've got Florida who's got athletes. I know they're about to get, beat around by Miami. You've got Oklahoma, Kentucky, man, at Mississippi State, whatever. But then that last stretch is brutal. It's
Yeah.
really brutal. So we'll see. Two might be that might be downplaying. It might be more three or four losses for Texas.
Oof. All right, another team that's feeling the heat a little bit, which they shouldn't, because they're number 3 team in the country, but is the LSU Tigers. And we didn't get a chance to really talk about this because we had so many games to break down early on in the week. But Brian Kelly gets on the stand after the game press conference, and gets asked a question about what's up with the running game. Why can't you run the football? And he just goes off about, you know, did you not see the last run? Why are you asking me that question? We just beat a rival at home. You should be talking about that and blah, blah, blah. And I get it, man. Like I liked it. I'm all for it. I thought it was great. I do agree that there's a lot of negativity in those interviews, and maybe there's a time and place for that, but not at the beginning. Like it should be like, man, coach, you just won a hell of a game against a big time rival. You're 3-0, you're top 5. How'd you do it?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we can work our way to how do you get better in this area going forward, not right off the damn bat.
Right.
Am I wrong or do you like it?
No, I think that was a crazy question to open up with,
Yeah.
especially when you had 5 picks, you beat Florida the way that they did. And should it have been worse? Yes. Could you have been more effective offensively? Sure. But, come on, let's go big picture first. I think the reporter he might have been asking for it, and who knows the history. I mean, I don't know the LSU beat, if those guys like each other or what, but I thought it was so funny the way he just blasted them. He did come back and apologize, though. He said, "I'm sorry," to
Oh,
everybody. So, he felt that, I guess. He just wanted to clear the air.
I'll say this about LSU. The fact that we are worried about their offense and we're talking so highly about their defense
Shocking.
gives me more confidence that LSU has a chance this year.
Oh, you like it.
Well, because I trust Garrett Nussmeier. I
Sure,
trust Aaron
sure.
Anderson and Barry and Brown and Nick Anderson, like the rest of the like, I know the offense is gonna figure it out. If I'm wrong in that, I'm wrong in that. But I am in my soul, will they be as good as maybe I thought they would be? No. But
Mhm.
will they still be pretty damn good? Yes. I think they're still gonna be pretty damn good on offense. And if that defense is playing with their hair on fire, Blake Baker year 2 and Weeks and Harold Perkins and everyone flying around, the secondary is we talk about getting the portal money well spent. I am more bullish on LSU
Mm,
knowing that you have a defense like that,
yeah.
and then also knowing that you still have one of the premier quarterbacks, in my opinion, in the country with a lot of talent around him. They got to find a way to run the football, no doubt about it. But man, if you can play defense like that, you can have a couple blemishes on offense and still figure out a way to win a lot
Sure.
of football
Yeah,
games.
I've been floored with how good that defense is. I mean, they look like a totally different beast and are the absolute, strength of the team right now. I'm just super confused, about some of the concepts and some of the great plays that I saw versus Clemson. And maybe it's just Clemson's not that good. Maybe that's what it is. They were having that success because my Tigers are just hurting. But it just looked different in that
Yeah.
first game than it
Garrett was
has
off
these
last
previous
week.
2.
He
Yeah.
was he
And he
missed
might
a
be a little
lot of
hurt. He
throws.
might be a little banged up.
Yeah, he may be a little banged up too. So I don't know, man. I still like him, but yeah, Coach Kelly, good for you. All right, last thing before we get out of here, we went over Josh Pate's top quarterbacks in the SEC. Just want to get your initial reactions. Here are my top quarterbacks in college football: John Mateer, Carson Beck. I still got Gary Nussmeier at 3, Tommy Castellanos at 4, Haynes King at 5, Drew Aller at 6, Dante Moore at 7, Joey Aguilar at 8, Diego at 9, and then CJ Carr.
Mm.
I'm in love with CJ Carr. I
I think he's
watching the
good.
tape for Notre Dame, man, that kid throws a beautiful football.
Yeah.
Beautiful touch, can put it on it when he needs to. But I mean, his ability to layer the football for a guy that hasn't played a lot of football, I was impressed what he did versus A&M. So
Yeah.
My top 10. Am I missing anyone? Am I too high on anyone in your opinion? What are the thoughts on my top 10 in the country?
Yeah, I'm interested to see when Carson takes that number 1 spot because I think that I think he's the
Pretty
best
damn
pro.
close.
Yeah, I think he's the best pro right now. I think he's showing that. He'll have opportunity to show more of that. And then just I like the way you're doing it because you're not going necessarily weekly, but when guys are making switches, you're seeing that as the season goes on, guys are doing different things. One cat that I need you to take a peek at is the guy out at Cal.
Oh, I
This
keep hearing
kid
about it.
is freaky. He's huge. He's a lefty. He's got great touch, and he's got it going on, man. I want your eyes on him. I want a QB who
Okay.
knows what he's talking about, knows what to look for, because he's super smooth and it just looks good.
And you work on pronouncing
out
his
there.
name.
It's if I read it, I'm gonna mess it up. It's tough.
Agapalotilili?
It's tough. It's tough. Sanga Tella. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. We just call him JKS on the ACC network. That's what we call him. JKS.
There you go.
Well, check him
JKX.
out. Let me know what you think of Jaron
Okay.
out at
Okay.
Cal. And then Haynes King. Was he on there? Where'd you have Haynes King? He's
Yeah,
on
I
the
had
top
Haynes at
10?
5.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I think
Yeah.
that's good. I think he's a guy that I am just so interested in seeing the sustainability of it.
Yes.
He plays so hard. And you're worried. I mean, you're worried a little bit about John Mateer and how much he has to run.
I'm worried about both.
I know. Haynes a little bit more though. There's historical things with King about can he finish a full year when he's healthy. I think he's one of the best players in college football. But it's a lot to have.
If he's healthy, I think they make the playoffs. But
why not?
I mean, Philo's a good backup though. At least you got a backup with experience.
Great.
Where
He's a better passer.
I don't know Oklahoma's
Much better
situation, but Mateer goes down, and that as we talked about on our show, it feels like Mateer is everything for that offense right now.
Yeah.
And they got good playmakers, no doubt. The offense line looks improved, but I think it's the same situation. It is I say that, and that's like most teams. You lose your starting quarterback, you ain't the same football team. Very few teams can go number 2 quarterback and say, "Oh my goodness, we're not that we'd ever be better," because the backup quarterback's not a backup quarterback for a reason.
Right.
But we can kind of plug and play, and we'll be fine. So
how
that's
about
my
Tommy
rankings.
Castellanos? What do you want to see from him? Like, because
Keep doing the same thing he's been doing. I love Tommy Castellanos.
he's a beast. He is a beast. I'm excited to see him in that Miami game in a couple weeks. That's going to be a huge indicator of who he is and who they are.
I love him. I love him. All right, that's it here at the Mac and Murray College Football Show. We appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe. We are so close to 30K. I mean, we are sniffing it. We'd love to get there by the end of the weekend, early next week. We appreciate your support. Go follow us on all of our socials as well. Mac and Murray CFB Show. And we will be back all weekend with instant reactions. And then obviously Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we will push out our full weekend recap. Until then, enjoy some college football.
Okay.